Shalom, family. It's good to see everybody here. I deeply appreciate all your well wishes and prayers. Trust me, it's not going unnoticed at all. My son made it through the surgery fine. We stuck around until he was taken out of ICU and brought to his room, but we didn't stay long because he was so groggy so we're going to go back a little later in the afternoon. Hopefully he'll be more alert then, but everything went well. And I am grateful, so grateful for everything. So I came back home and got your orders out that came in over the weekend. And now I'm just going to start working on my videos, and I hope that you will take the time and watch and comment. Those things are really important. So, you know, and I just wanted to also say there's all kinds of ways you can support my channel. I know some of you may not financially be able to do it, but if you just sit and watch the commercials, trust me, that will help my channel greatly. Even if that's the only contribution you can give, it's deeply appreciated. So, y'all, let's talk about the trucking industry. They are going through it right now. I don't know if you've been watching the news. It's a lot of layoffs going on already. Or the truckers that are contractors used to get a lot of work. They can hardly get work now because of, there's less ships coming into the port. Now, there's two things I do want to say. When the pandemic was going on, and a lot of the grocery stores and retail stores had empty shelves during that time. You know who stayed fully stocked? BJ's. And I did most of my shopping with them. Now, I mean, they ran out of toilet paper and disinfectant because everybody was going after those items. But as far as everything else in the store, they weren't lacking anything through the entire pandemic. So I pretty much, whenever I couldn't find anything at my local supermarket, I went to BJ's and I was able to get everything I needed. So it helped tremendously. So what I'm saying to you is, as the shelves get empty, yes, Costco too. Um, Look at your warehouse retail places around you, a BJ's, a Costco, because I don't know what kind of deal they got, but they don't tend to run out like your regular grocery stores. Now, I have a BJ membership and I am getting a Costco membership as well. I'm probably going to do that this coming week, but they never ran out of anything. So I stuck with them throughout the pandemic, and I really didn't have a lot of problems finding, the vegetables, the meat, the breads, everything I wanted, dairy or water, everything. But I had water delivery back then because it was just too trying running all over the place for water, and I signed up for Ready Refresh and they just brought the cases to my house. But y'all kind of check those places out. When the shelves start getting empty around you, start checking out the warehouses that are around you. You may be able to get everything you want from them. All right. So I just wanted to drop that on you just to give you some, a little more insight of places that, I think they are better connected than some of the other grocery stores. And that's why they're able to maintain their inventory. Okay, the shelves are getting empty there. Yeah, Marcella, they probably are initially. Um, I know around me, just going back to the pandemic, initially the shelves were empty because if y'all remember, everybody was doing that panic shopping. But as time went on, they seemed to replenish their stuff a lot faster than anyone else. At least the ones around me did. I mean, it could, of course, vary from one state to the next. It could be like that. Because I mean, let's think about it. New Jersey is nothing like California. We're not even a quarter of the size of California. So it may be a little more easier to maintain it here. Yeah. So, it is getting tough. So I'm going to show you some videos that came out for that I got off of TikTok for these truckers, and they're going to talk about what's going on with them and how, many of them are not getting the work or they have been laid off, or right, and things have slowed down. Absolutely. All right. So, y'all, let me share my screen and we will get started. Let's see here. Right here. Yep. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
We have some crazy breaking news right now. Trump's newest victims are a group of Americans that we actually need to survive in this country. The American truck driver. The sad thing is 90% of these truck drivers voted for Trump in the 2024 election. And it doesn't stop there. The whole shipping industry is under attack by Trump.
I know you told me you voted for President Trump. What were you hoping that he would do?
I was hoping he would did something that made sense regarding the economy, made some kind of progress in bettering, the benefits of being a veteran. But I mean, it just seemed like he actually cared about doing what was best for the country. But now it just feels like all about me, Donald Trump, not, the guy out there working in the trenches trying to make ends meet, trying to pay a mortgage, trying to pay the bills. It goes against everything I expected when, I voted for him.
So you're not satisfied with him?
No. And it doesn't even have to do with anything about me getting fired. I mean, if I had gotten fired as part of the, government, cutting government spending, I would have been fine with that. I can accept that. But he's not delivering on anything he said he was going to do. So what's your real game plan? It doesn't make sense to me.
There are some things that he promised to do that he has put in place. I mean, there are executive orders that he's done, that he said that he was going to do. You don't feel like he's lived up to those promises?
I mean, where are the results? I mean, seriously, prices are still going up. We're now in the middle of a tariff war with a bunch of countries that used to be our steadfast allies. I mean, how do you make an enemy of Canada? They're right next to us, and they've been one of our premier allies and commerce partners for, I mean, seriously, like what, centuries now?
And he did say that he was going to put tariffs in place. Did you just not think that they would be implemented in this particular way?
I didn't think they were going to be put in play in a juvenile way. I mean, where was the attempt to actually talk to the heads of these other countries like, hey, I feel you have unfair tariffs against our products. I'd like to talk about it first. And if we can't work out some kind of resolution, then I feel to protect our people, we need to implement this kind of tariff. There was no attempt at even talking to the other countries.
Guys, things are a lot worse than I actually thought it was. I just got finished looking at about 6 TikToks, and not just TikTok videos, but videos on other social media platforms about a lot of the American truck drivers, as far as like the semi truck drivers who do the over-road driving, transporting goods from the ports to our local stores. A lot of the truck drivers are really, really hurt right now. I watched at least 3 videos where the truck drivers are saying just in this short amount of time with the tariffs going on, that they have to actually sell their entire truck. A lot of those people pay at least $255,000 for the semi. So for those of you who don't know what those trucks cost, they cost around 200 and something thousand. One guy said the best offer that he got on the semi truck was $140,000, and the semi truck is actually a 2020. Uh, a 2020. That's just shy of 5 years old. So it's real out here when the truck drivers start speaking out about what's going on with them. They're experiencing uh, a huge shortage where it comes to them being contractors, being contracted out to ship stuff for this company and ship stuff for that company. A lot of those guys that's even saying that selling their trucks, they're applying for local jobs where they can drive for a company. And they said a lot of those companies that ships products are actually laying their employees off, or some of them are even cutting their employees' hours. So it's definitely real. Just seeing the videos like that just let me know just how serious things are, because these are people making videos that lives are really 100% being impacted by the tariffs. We would have never thought in a million years that putting tariffs on China and putting tariffs on these other countries would affect the United States so fast. I would have never thought that the impact would be so fast. The store shelves, a lot of the store shelves really are running empty right now. A lot of people are still using their overstocked products that they ordered from these companies, meaning that shipments are still coming in because they were ordered before the tariffs were implemented. And so they have to honor what's been implemented, basically like a contract type deal. So things are more serious than I thought it was, man. And like, if this is like only the second day of May 2025, I mean, I hate to see what the second and third week of May is going to look like. And we are just in the second day of May, and we're already seeing a humongous catastrophic breakdown of people already talking about losing their jobs when it comes to trucking and transporting food from one state to the next state. The ports are just really, it's bad. What's going on at the ports right now is bad. And you know what's really worse? A lot of those jobs are actually union jobs, and the union can't really do anything about that. They can't really override the president of the United States. So I wanted to just bring you guys that, man. That's really some heartbreaking sad news, man. Thank you guys for watching.
I picked up a truck driver yesterday in here in the Fort Lauderdale metro area from one of the truck stops where they park their trucks, and actually took him home. And so I always talk to all of my riders normally. And so I'm asking him about how is the trucking business? How is it looking? What's going on? And he said it's getting scary, that he was already having trouble booking rides that he normally would do to loads to take from the Miami Fort Lauderdale area to other parts of the country. Two large ports here. The port of Miami is super large. Port Everglades, which is Fort Lauderdale, is smaller on the cargo, but still it's a large port when it comes to cargo. And he's saying that he's having trouble picking up loads out of the ports to take to other parts of the country from here. And I said, well, what's going on? And he says, well, it's got to be the tariffs, and that they are importing, receiving fewer containers, fewer goods in the ports, and it is trickling down to the truckers, which means there's less business for the truckers. And so for all of my truckers out there, I'm interested to hear what you're seeing. I'm interested to hear what you're experiencing right now. And, I won't ask who you voted for, but I can guess, you vote however you want to vote. But I'm sure this is not something that you voted for. You did not expect a trade war that would impact your trucking business and you to be able to have business to be able to feed yourself and your family. But it is impacting you. This is going to impact the amount of goods that we're going to see in stores. It's going to impact stores' abilities to sell, which is going to impact the number of people they're going to need to keep as employees in those stores or the hours that you have. Expect further cuts continues to start trickling down through all of the economy in the United States, and it's going to slow things down. Expect for those things we do see in the store, so those prices to go up. So expect inflation to go up, expect job losses to increase, expect fewer hours if you don't lose your job. And those in the trucking business are becoming concerned that they aren't going to have adequate business that they need to do to pay their bills, to pay their truck fees, their loans, whatever they've got. Those trucks aren't cheap to run and or to buy or to purchase. And it's trickling through everywhere. It's just another little anecdote. And, and if you read, I read another article today in the LA Times, truckers are desperate in Los Angeles because the same thing, the port of Los Angeles is slowing down and business is hard to find. So thank you, Donald Trump, for crashing the economy. And it's coming. This crash is coming. You can say, I'm just scaremongering or whatever. Watch what happens. Watch how it slows down. Donald Trump brought us into a recession before. Donald Trump is bringing us to a recession now. And he goes, oh, it'll be okay. We'll be great later. Donald Trump, you don't suffer like the rest of us. You don't live week to week or month to month, paycheck to paycheck, where people need to make a certain income to pay their bills. You just file bankruptcy and don't pay others. There you have it. Love to hear from my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, and my burned out light bulbs. What do you all think? And if you're a trucker, love to hear your experience and what you see and what you think is going to happen right now.
First of all, you got to think about all the other things going on. How about all the displaced veterans because Elon Musk ran amok all over our fucking government? Do you think a lot of them looked at trucking? Yeah, they sure did. We'll try to touch on that a bit later. But all these displaced truckers now that don't have work coming out of the ports are going to have to go find work elsewhere, and they'll probably look for towards trucking in some other capacity, maybe not having to do anything with the ports. And the point of all of that is it's going to cause a ripple effect through the entire trucking industry. Sorry, my GPS was talking and distracted me, but through the entire trucking industry. And trucking works on very, very simple supply and demand. They look at how much capacity is in the area where they're trying to move freight. Capacity referring to an empty truck ready to take a load. I'm not sure that's how I wanted to say that, but that's the way it came out. And it's filthy out here, my friends. Anyways, and they compare that to the freight volume in that area, and that's how they come up with the rates. Very, very straightforward, simple supply and demand type of thing. And when you start flooding the market with more and more drivers going to a certain area because they ain't got no work at the ports anymore, that causes the rates in these other areas to start to decrease already. Decrease further is what I meant to say, because there's too much capacity in that area. And we used to hear a term for a long time in trucking where they would say driver shortage. We haven't heard that since Donald Trump wiped out the trucking industry the last fucking time he was in office. But you've got small businesses going under. You've got veterans losing their jobs. You've got truckers now facing the fact that they're going to lose their job and look for other trucking jobs. And trucking is generally looked at as a recession-proof industry. The thought process behind that is, well, everybody's got to eat, so there's always going to be a trucking job. Well, trucking might be recession-proof, but it's not Donald Trump proof. And we're going to talk about that. Give me just a second. But the point is, the ports are seeing crazy short drops in volume of freight coming in, all due to Donald Trump's tariffs. 100% self-inflicted by Donald fucking Trump for no reason whatsoever. Nothing about these tariffs make any sense. And we're going to see a massive, massive drop. Even if you don't work at the ports, there is probably something that you haul across this country that initially comes through the ports. Even if it's a local product, maybe the packaging is imported, or any number of things. Any number of parts on your truck can be imported. And we're going to see a shortage of that also, or completely unaffordable if you're an owner operator and you need to go buy one yourself. But I promised I would give you a little history lesson, because history repeats itself under Donald Trump. So he single-handedly crashed the fucking trucking market the last time he was in office. And I don't know what happened. I don't know why so many truckers still vote for Donald Trump. After seeing that happen, they must have got amnesia, bumped their heads, COVID wiped their memory out. I don't really fucking know, because Donald Trump single-handedly crashed trucking the last time he was in office. And a lot of people actually went fucking bankrupt over it. And let me explain how it happened. First, Donald Trump denied COVID existed. You remember that? And the very initial results of that were when everybody kind of started to accept that COVID was a real thing, you had a bunch of panic buying going on. You had fist fights over fucking toilet paper going on out there. And people were buying shit like en masse, just fucking crazy. And since truckers tend to be older, I think our average age is somewhere around like 58 years old for truck drivers. Once they started realizing, oh shit, this COVID's a real thing and it's going to kill us, a lot of truck drivers went home. They pulled their trucks off the road, or they went home, whatever it is they did. And so we had all this panic buying going on, truckers leaving the road, and just a few truckers left out here. And we got treated like shit, by the way. We weren't allowed indoors, period. You couldn't go inside anywhere, fucking shitting in buckets out here. You know, it was fucking chaotic. It was crazy. Anyways, this caused a massive spike in the amount of money we're making. Don't worry, I'm getting to the good part where we all go bankrupt. You know, the part we're all waiting for. But this caused this huge spike in the amount of money that we were making. And I'm not shitting you guys.
We have some big news right now. Mack Trucks, which is an American business that manufactures automobiles in Pennsylvania, is laying off hundreds of employees. Why? Because of Donald Trump's tariffs. According to the spokesperson for Mack Trucks, heavy-duty truck orders continue to be negatively affected by market uncertainty about freight rates and demands, possibly regulatory changes and the impacts of tariffs. And as a result, the company unfortunately has to lay off about 250 to 350 people at LVO over the next 90 days. This comes as there is a reduced demand for Mack truck vehicles and align with production goals. Companies around the country are slowly starting to lay off individuals as a result of tariffs. Tariffs increase costs on American businesses, especially small businesses who rely on sending products to countries around the world, but especially to China, where tariffs are now over 140% on some products. As always, comment below your thoughts, spread the word, and follow along for all the news you need to know about. And I'll do a full breakdown of all the news you missed today on my Substack, link to my bio, so subscribe for free.
Hey, Donald, you signed an executive order yesterday requiring all truck drivers to speak English. And that's wild to me. You think folks who are driving these trucks, even if they speak Spanish or something else, that they don't have to learn our traffic signs and all that shit? I want to ask you, can you sign an executive order requiring the First Lady of the United States to be able to speak more clear English? Donald, could you sign one of those? Could you do it? Could you say, Melania, you're going to have to learn English better? You're going to have to do it better. We got to understand you clearer. Can you do that? I'm just saying, Donnie, if you're going to make other people speak English,
driverless semi-trucks have started running regular long-haul routes in Texas. The semis from the autonomous trucking company Aurora have computers and sensors that can see for more than 4 football fields. The company is starting out with a single self-driving truck and plans to add more by the end of the year.
It's a tough time being a truck driver. I ain't gonna lie to you. I just heard some news. A trucking company called LTI Services just completely shut down. 250 trucks, about 300 trailers, just completely shut down out of nowhere. Now, obviously, 250 drivers are going to be out of a job. They need to scramble to look for a job. But here's the thing is, when I was looking at it, reading the article, I was telling myself, why didn't they downsize, right? Why just completely shut down? Obviously, we understand they're losing money, but there are other alternatives where you don't need to shut down. You just downsize. You know, instead of having 250 trucks, maybe have 50 trucks. It's manageable. But to completely shut down operations, obviously we only know from the outside, me reading the article, but man, 250 drivers out of nowhere got a message saying the company's shutting down completely. They're gonna get them home some way, somehow. But obviously, easier said than done. If these drivers are, God knows where they're at, trying to get them back. It's unfortunate, sad situation. It's a tough time to be a semi-truck driver right now, man. God bless each and every one of you, man.
Here's Joe from Georgia. Trucking in the United States is getting ready to suffer. And truckers who depend on those shipments for their jobs are going to be unemployed, especially if you're operating on the West Coast of America, because all those shipments that go to China that aren't going to happen because of the tariffs, those shippings go to California ports. Well, in May of 2020, during COVID, there was 50 blank sailings in California going to China. That means canceled sailings where full ships would go to China. Now, 50 in 2020 in COVID. This past month and the beginning of April, there's been 80 already. And someone said it. This is going to make COVID look like good times.
Just seeing that part with the driverless semis, that is scary to me. I don't mean no harm, but I hope I don't encounter one of those things on the road. I don't want to be near anything that's driverless, you know? Because let's be real, anything mechanical like that or computerized, we know computers always have some form of failure. And if that is going on while that thing is driving down the road and there's some type of computer failure, or in order for it to be computerized, sometimes it's linked to a server and the server goes down. I don't want to be near nothing like that on the road, but I can see them attempting to replace drivers with these driverless semis. I just don't think that's a good idea. I think you should always have someone behind the wheel. That's just my opinion. But you know how this country is. If they can eliminate the driver, eliminate that salary, and just have the semi on the road, that's the route they'll go because they are completely greedy, you know? So, yeah, I mean, just judging from what I'm seeing, these truckers are scared. Many of them got voter regret voting for Donald Trump, but that's really irrelevant. Donald Trump is the sitting president. It really doesn't matter what you regret at this point in time. And, look, truckers are really in the same boat with a lot of people, including federal employees that got laid off in this country. And does Donald Trump care? No. You know what he said recently in the news? Donald Trump said, oh, yeah, we are going to go through a recession, but it's going to be short lived. Now, he has no way of knowing that, y'all. That's a load of BS. He doesn't know how long a recession is going to last. Come on. And China is still standing firm on not sending anything else over here as long as Donald Trump keep those tariffs on them. So no, you cannot. I saw what some of y'all wrote, and y'all just trying to defend Donald Trump. Oh, Kamala would have did this. You don't know what Kamala would have done because Kamala did not win the presidency, and Biden did not write all these tariffs. China was not angry until Donald Trump threw all those tariffs on them. So whether you like it or not, this whole thing is directly linked to Donald Trump and only Donald Trump. China has not once said they were upset over tariffs over Biden or Harris. Not one time has that come out of China. But they have said they are upset over these tariffs that Donald Trump has placed on them. And they are retaliating by not sending any goods over here. So y'all need to hang that up. Y'all need to hang it up. You're fighting a losing battle. And defending Donald Trump, you're going to be eating those words pretty soon. I guess it just didn't impact you hard enough, but it will. You got to live among us just like everybody else. It'll get you if it haven't yet. So anyway, y'all, all we can do is the best we can. I'm just going to lean on the Heavenly Father. I am going to pray that he will somehow get us through it. And I know he will. And y'all, if you can find places that pretty much look like they stay fully stocked, note those places. So when the S hit the fan, you'll be able to go back to those places and see what you can get. Look, Donald Trump is not pulling back on the tariffs, and China is so upset with Donald Trump. They said they are not going to change their position no matter what. And how they feel at this point in time, they're going to win this tariff war. That's how China is thinking. They're not thinking about giving in to Donald Trump at all. And they said they're not interested in talking to Donald Trump at all. They don't want a negotiation. They want the tariffs off of them. That's what they want. And you know what the irony is, y'all? The prices keep steadily going up in the US. You know, when the Chinese people post online, they're saying their prices have not changed at all. And that just goes to show you all these price hikes and gouging going on in America is nothing but a sham. That's what it is. How is it that they can keep their prices down and they got all these tariffs on them from Donald Trump, but when they slap them back, our prices got to go up? Come on. It's a load of BS. It's BS. They are scamming all of us. So, you know, wow, listening to these truckers, it was deep. I was looking at even more. It was impossible to get all of them, but I just plucked out a few. But yeah, these truckers are telling you the truth. It is tough out here for them. It really is. Well, they said 90% of the trucking industry voted for Donald Trump. 90% of them. And now many of them are on video saying they regret their vote. They wish they never voted for Donald Trump because they didn't think they were going to be out of work, or ones that are contractors didn't think they would have to struggle to get work. They thought it was going to be fine for them, but it's not. It's not fine for them at all. Yeah, 90%. That is very high. Voted for Donald Trump. They have. China is old. Even Russia. Russia is 1,000 years old. In comparison, the United States is a baby compared to places like China, Russia, and even India. These places have been around for thousands of years, and they have, that's why Russia is so much more advanced in rocket science, because they've been at it a lot longer than the US. So, like I said, the US in comparison is a baby. Yep, Russia's been around. They've been a country for 1,000 years now. And they're right. They've been around all this time. They're going to continue to be around. I do agree with them. At least for a while, they're going to be around longer than the US. You can best believe that. I really believe when the US tank, those countries may still be up and running at least for a while longer. So, the truckers, I just hope they could find other employment to at least hold them over. I know it's tough out here because the job market is not exactly the easiest right now, but I really do hope that they are able to find other work, even if it's not trucking. All right. I would like to thank A Step Ahead with Yashe Israel. We appreciate you, Lisa, over all these years of keeping us all informed. Thank you so much for your support for my channel. I deeply appreciate it. And Big Mike. This is Big Mike. Big Mike, it's so good that you're here. I'm a trucker, and yes, it's real bad. Yeah, I know it is, brother. And I hope you'll be okay. I really do. Thank you for your support for my channel. And Tyrone Lewis, to you, Lisa, your son and husband. Thank you so much, Tyrone. I deeply appreciate it. Okay, there's a few more. Let's see here. This thing is horrible. Dark Skin Brother, thank you for the channel membership. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all of the support that you have given me. Charjay, he is doing what was done to our communities, disenfranchising to ruin. Thank you. And you're absolutely right. You're right. You know, Donald Trump, unfortunately, it is very clear he's not working for the people at all. He's working for his rich friends that financed his campaign and helped get him in office. And also, Dark Skin Brother, keep up the amazing work, my warrior sister. Thank you so much, my brother. Charjay, it's sad and intimidating, yes. Yet this is what end times look like. The end of Esau's reign. Yeah, you're right. Second Ezra 6, verse 9 through 11. Thank you. You're absolutely right. And Dark Skin Brother, sending out healing blessings for your son, my warrior sister. May the Most High protect you and your family always. Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much for your support for my channel. You know, truckers are the lifeline of America. Without truckers, it's easy for this country to even go into a famine. You know, without your truckers, you know, they really do a job that is essential, probably above all other jobs. Their job is what I would really consider very essential. John Evans, you said, I'm a trucker and things. Hold on, it went by kind of fast. Let me see if I can get yours again. John Evans, you said, I'm a truck driver and things are getting very strict with our companies. Yes, yes, absolutely. I definitely believe that. Mm-hmm. But, you know, we'll see what happens. But I just hope that, you know, many of our truckers that are being put out of work right now can find other ways to make money, you know, because going down to the ports, that was really what many of them did. And now that everything is slowing down, yeah, you know, if you work for a company, they are going to lay you off. Thank you, Derek Johnson, for the super sticker. Mm-hmm. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. I thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your prayers and your support. I deeply appreciate it. And please have a wonderful day, y'all. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Shalom, family.